Oh, hello everyone, it's Susie, Crypto Granny here. The date's the 17th of February 2023 and the time in Europe is 18:04 p.m. Let's talk about the cryptocurrency market. Let's look at where everything is. Let's look at market cap, liquidity, Bitcoin dominance. Let's look at some of the main news stories that we see, which will affect directly our investment portfolios and our trading portfolios that we run. And let's just talk about the market technically. I put a video out the other day that everyone should have seen, and this market has traded exactly where I thought it would. Bitcoin got to 25,200 in price, and the market sold it down, which I suspected it would, and it sold it down to about 23.5, something like that. Now currently Bitcoin is at 24,137 and it's bouncing back, and that's exactly what I expected to see. And I do believe it'll take out 25,200 again, which is a big level, and it will go through that to 30,000 if you look at my technical analysis video I sent out the other day. So this weekend I'm expecting a bounce in the crypto market and Bitcoin to be over 25,200, and that might be where we start our new investment portfolios, number 7, and a new trading portfolio, number 7 as well. So if you remember, at the higher levels of my Patreon, you'll see exactly what we buy, what blue chip cryptocurrency coins we buy. And we mainly buy coins, not tokens. Coins have their own mainnet, their own technology that they charge out to clients that pay for that technology. So let's get on with this. There's quite a bit of news out today, and I'm trying to make it not so long, but there is always so much to talk about in cryptocurrency markets and fiat markets and the economics and politics and everything else, that we cover the main news stories that are going to directly affect our investment and trading portfolios. So let's go to Livecoin Watch and let's look at the figures here. Market cap at the moment is 1.121 trill. It is certainly up. Volume's quite high at the moment. It was 61.156 bill. Liquidity is at 3.792 bill. And Bitcoin dominance is 41.55% and maintaining that dominance. And I believe it will, simply because there is no supply of physical Bitcoin. And the market can sell it down as much as they want or do futures on Bitcoin or whatever. And we've seen that. There's a lot of futures positions being taken out. A lot of people got liquidated overnight, another 54,000 traders, but I can see this going higher and higher simply because of what's happening in Hong Kong, what's happening in China. I've done some research on that. It's very easy for the Chinese to go to Hong Kong and to open up bank accounts. They can open up bank accounts, they can open up cryptocurrency accounts. Very, very simple. And we're talking about, literally about 800 million people that can do that very easily. The Chinese people love to be invested in financial markets as well as crypto and foreign exchange. So this is just a no-brainer the way I see it. So Bitcoin's just currently right now at 24,174, I should say. Ethereum 1683, USD Tether is 0.99, starting to lose the 1-for-1. So keep an eye on those stable coins. I think a lot of them will start to lose that 1-to-1. And we're starting to see that because of the structural change. If you're listening to my podcast, the last week or so, the structural changes of what the US regulatory authority have done, particularly with stable coins, saying they're securities, so people are selling them and going into altcoins and Bitcoin, and also the staking rules as well, which are just ridiculous, okay? What the US regulatory authority is doing. But that's what they're doing, and we're going to see a big exodus out of the US if this regulatory environment is as bad as it is at the moment and as litigious as it is, and literally everyone's getting fined by the SEC and they're making a fortune, right? So we do see that USDC is 0.999, XRP is at 0.389, Cardano is higher than XRP at the moment, unfortunately, at 40 cents. Binance USD is holding 1. OatB is at 54.69. That's been one of our star performers. Seriously, the exchange, amazing. And so is Matic at $1.47. Has been another star performer for our investment portfolios. Solana is at 22.96 and DOT is at 7.50. $15. And Litecoin's only at $100, which I'm keeping an eye on that as well. So let's talk about, some of the main news stories, what we think is important to keep focused on. Certainly, economic environment, but certainly the fundamentals of the economic environment, people losing their jobs or whatever's going on, inflation, everything else is always a consideration. And certainly what's happening specifically in specific blue chip cryptocurrency coins that we actually hold in our investment portfolios. So let's talk about the economic fundamental news first, and then we'll continue with crypto specific news. So that's important to us, the way we see this market. We see this market pretty well because we've been in markets for 40 years, and that's a long time. So we find that DocuSign is another organisation, another US corporate that are laying off people, cutting 10% of their workforce. The Bank of America just came out today and plans to job cut. We don't know how many people, but they're certainly planning to job cut as well in the lending departments and the risk departments in terms of securitized lending or mortgage type lending. Also, we see the economic figures that came out in the US. The producer price index, I mentioned this to you, rose 0.7% month on month, 6% year on year, which is a fairly large increase. And that's producer price inputs into making things. Okay, so we still see this as inflationary. It's a leading indicator. It excludes food and energy, but it looks at all the inputs into trades and creating things and trade services and this sort of thing. It is a leading indicator because it actually is monthly rather than quarterly and that sort of thing. But also we find the housing market has come off a bit. Housing starts have fallen as well. People are not spending as much money. We're seeing it through the Red Book. We're seeing it through retail sales spends. Building permits are down 27%. And it's simply because the mortgages, a 30-year mortgage rate in the US now is about 6.5%, and it's literally gone up, 5 times or 10 times more. It's huge. We've also saw the Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index fall quite dramatically at 24.3, missing the estimates consensus of down 7.4. Now that's not great because, this thing tracks new orders, shipments, delivery dates, and employer headcount. And all those figures actually weaken. So the US stats that come out in terms of unemployment in the US, I'm not a believer in them actually, because when I look at other indicators tell me that employer headcount has actually reduced, okay? Even the initial jobless claims are still around about 200,000 a week. And basically the continuing jobless claims are nearing 2 million and they're not actually going down, right? And we are finding everywhere in the tech world, 106,000 people this year already out of about 366 companies in the US have laid off lots of workers, unfortunately. And compare that to last year, which was about 1,000 US companies, and it was about 150,000. We're already up to about 108 to 110,000 layoffs. So it's not great. And also, because of all these different indicators, we've got certain Fed members that like to focus on the negative, like Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester, and said that, she believes that there should be another 50 basis point hike at the next meeting. I mean, she's mad, right? She's got to be nuts. I mean, there has been some negative rhetoric out from Federal Reserve presidents, and it's been more hawkish. But, what are they looking at? What data are these idiots looking at? Seriously, the US is in big trouble. People cannot afford to live. People can't afford to rent. They can't afford to buy their food. They can't afford to, pay for their utilities, for warmth. And it's the same in Australia and the UK, right? What the frig are they looking at here? Canada's the same. People are doing it seriously hard. Landlord rents in Australia are up by 10% month on month because interest rates have been increased in Australia by 9 times. I mean, it's just ludicrous, right? People are paying a mortgage. They used to pay $100,000 a month. They're now paying $5,000 a month. It is a shocker. And I cannot understand why the Fed is so hawkish, in other words, so negative in terms of, yes, inflation, whatever, but they're not looking at the real people, with the underlying real people that can't afford anything, and continue to say, oh, we're going to hike. It's just absolute rot as far as I'm concerned. Now, the next FOMC meeting, Federal open market committee meeting is on the 15th and 16th of March. But I just do not think they can afford to rate hike any more. A 2-year bond rate is already near 5%. Cash is already near 5%. I mean, it's enough, right, as far as I'm concerned. Now, let's talk about crypto news. The SEC charges Terraform and CEO Don Kwon with defrauding investors in a crypto scheme, right? So we all know about this. Terraform Labs, collapsed. And this guy, went, obviously tried to evade all the regulators and the public offenders and went to Croatia and Eastern Europe somewhere. So they caught this guy. And effectively, he's being sued, by clients, of course, and sued by the SEC for fraud and securities fraud and all sorts of things, right? And the Fed is, the SEC is out there trying to get people like this. Also, Binance is under the scrutiny of the SEC, of course, and they want to basically say, look, I've had enough of all this compliance. Just give me a fine, give me a fine. Let me pay you, and then I'm going to probably even think, CZ Changpeng Zhao from Binance is even thinking, do I really want to be in the US? It is too much hassle. Fed income, big corporations are moving out of the US. Coinbase, Brian Armstrong, vehemently disagrees with the SEC in terms of staking and, stable coins, and so many other people do as well, including Paxos, okay, who issues the Binance stable coin, right? And we've seen that come down quite a bit in terms of, market cap because supply is being sold, right? Everyone's trying to get out of stable coins. This is a structural shift, and the US regulatory authority have got no idea what they're doing. I got to tell you that. Now, in terms of Hong Kong, it's a big story. I mentioned this to you the other day. Hong Kong are opening up to retail traders in June, and it doesn't matter whether you have $5,000 or $2,000 or $500. You can now trade cryptocurrency in Hong Kong from the 1st of June, okay? Now, before that, you had to be, a professional investor, right? This is seriously important because Hong Kong wants to have a financial cryptocurrency hub, and America is, at the risk of losing that, as Coinbase's co-founder, Brian Armstrong, referred to. They will lose this, crypto incredible technology. And basically it'll move overseas, and rightly so, to Hong Kong and everywhere else. And we've seen Justin Sun go there with Hubi, Polony, Tron, and lots of other people, okay? We even see international brokers in there now, right? So it's very clear what's going to happen here, right? Hong Kong will be one of the biggest crypto development hubs in the Asian Pacific, and yet America just keeps doing what it does with regulation and offers no clarity to anyone, whether it's an exchange or whether it's an American corporation that buys or sells cryptocurrency. Now, I did look a little bit about the Hong Kong, China connection, and I used an AI for that, Perplexity, which I think is better than ChatGPT. And I asked it, is it easy for the Chinese to go and live in Hong Kong? They don't get an automatic residence. They have separate passports. They have to meet the requirement from the Chinese government to be able to visit Hong Kong. And the Chinese citizens have their own nationality. So Hong Kong has a separate, nationality. But Chinese can easily travel there, and they get up to 14 days to travel there without requiring any additional papers. And Chinese citizens can easily open up bank accounts in Hong Kong with a valid passport, proof of address, and a completed application form. And even a US citizen can also open a bank account in Hong Kong. The process of opening up a bank account in Hong Kong is very, very easy and very straightforward, and you can even do it online. You don't even have to be in Hong Kong, right? Now, this is very relevant, people. And you ask me, why is this so relevant? Because, as I said, China has 1.4 billion people, and 500 million of them have gone from the rural areas to the middle class and have a lot of money, and they love investment markets. We all saw what happened in the Chinese equity market years ago, right? So it's easy for a Chinese person to go to Hong Kong and open a bank account. And if they can open a bank account, they can open up a cryptocurrency account. Very, very simple and easy. And this is why I say Justin Sun is so important to watch. Whether you like the guy or whether you don't, I personally think he's a genius. He's a young man under the age of 30. He's a billionaire and he knows a lot about China because he is Chinese, and they will use Hong Kong, the Chinese government, as a cryptocurrency technology hub, and they're likely to tax Hong Kong for the benefit of the Communist Party in China. That's my bet. And therefore, any Chinese person with this 500 million people to go to Hong Kong can open up bank accounts and exchange accounts. It's huge. And they will buy the best blue chip crypto. There's no complexity between China traveling to Hong Kong. It's very, very easy. So it will be a big hotspot. We're seeing a lot happen in Hong Kong at the moment. A lot of operations are in Hong Kong, including Waves Financial. But also Hong Kong just did, an incredible thing. They also issued a bond on blockchain, a green bond. So they're doing bigger and better things than anyone else, right? And they will probably eventually go into their own central bank digital currency. Now, we're seeing a lot of countries doing that. Not surprising, because their fiat currency has just gone down, 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 down because of the terrible, woeful economic management of the country, by crooked politicians and presidents and prime ministers or whatever. And we see this in Brazil. The Central Bank of Brazil, president states that they're going to bring out a digital real pilot, and it's imminent. The Central Bank of Brazil, Robert Caspo Neto, said that they're going to bring out a Brazilian central bank digital currency, the digital real, very soon, and they're starting to pilot test amongst many of the Brazilian banks and Brazilian finance centers, okay? And this is big. Also, Russia rolling out a central bank digital currency pilot with real consumers in April, and it will be the digital ruble in collaboration with 13 local banks. And this is all very relevant because it's the demise of the US banking system and SWIFT as well. The Bank of Russia are preparing to roll out the first consumer pilot for the national central bank digital currency. It will be with 12 of the biggest Russian banks, and it's going to be launched on April the 1st. Just like the Chinese, the Russians don't muck around. And this is why the US is way behind. And if the regulators don't do something about this, they will lose their technology and it'll go to the rest of the world, unfortunately for the US, which is not great. The US needs as much income as it can get in from the rest of the world because its debt problems are $31 trillion and getting worse every day, and they're not generating anything for US dollar receipts to come in because they're not selling anything or creating any goods via manufacturing or whatever it means, okay? So clearly, let me have a glass of water, thank you. So, think about it. The US was an entrepreneurial country. It created the internet. It created some of the most amazing things in the world, YouTube, you name it. But, if cryptocurrency technology goes offshore from the US because of the onerous SEC and the regulator authorities and the different departments, and no one knows who's Arthur and Martha, it's just too hard. I mean, Bernard's is getting to that stage. The US is too hard. We've seen Kraken get out of the US. We've seen Nexo get out of the US. We've seen Deribit get out of the US. It goes on and on and on, people. Now, also, even Nigeria is talking about a central bank digital currency. They changed their currency, and it's an absolute disaster, right? There's not enough. The old currency's, useless. You can literally burn it with paint, for a fire. And they create a new currency. But the thing is, no one can get any money, right? No one can get any money from the banks. And it's no wonder the Bitcoin premium in Nigeria rose 60% to the spot market and is currently around $40,000 per Bitcoin US. And we're seeing the same thing in Lebanon. People are physically burning banks down because the Lebanon currency is worthless and the banks are all broke. So again, these countries need to go to cryptocurrency technology, right? And create their own digital currency. to embrace the world of cryptocurrency technology, the new age, which has revolutionized the worldwide financial system and settlement systems, right? Revolutionize it. Also, Japan is looking at their digital yen coming out, the digital currency. And again, they're going to be launching in April. This is all huge, people, for cryptocurrency. Huge. If they deal in cryptocurrency and it's digital, it doesn't matter because it links to all the exchanges all over the world, makes it very easy, and there's no settlement problem, not like the stupid SWIFT system where there can be a massive settlement problem and it can take days and weeks to get your money, right? It's very clear what's happening here. China is also doing heaps of tests with their digital currency. They already have it in about 15 to 16 provinces in China, and some of them huge like Shanghai, right? Millions and millions of people. It's a no-brainer, people, right? You know, and as I said, Hong Kong is there right in the action, right? They announced the world's first crypto green bond, okay? Amazing. And they're ahead of everyone, right? They did it on blockchain, and they issued something like $800 million of Hong Kong dollars, which is about 102 million of US, with a green bond yield of 4.05%. Amazing. And they can tokenize that bond and offer it to retail clients under 500,000. Most bonds you have to buy a minimum of 500,000 and be deemed a professional investor or a wholesale client. But with digital issuing of bonds and equities or whatever and tokenization, you can buy $2 worth you want, right? So this is huge. Now, we also had Michael Saylor from MicroStrategy come out and buy more Bitcoin. Very sensible guy. You know, they're buying right now. Bitcoin got to 23,500. You know, they've got a lot of Bitcoin, and they're buying Bitcoin with every dip, right? And it's not surprising because their view is Bitcoin in a year or two is going to be $100,000, right? A unit. And look, you know, with no supply of Bitcoin physical, that thing could go anywhere. Now, one of the coins we're invested in early, which was AI, artificial intelligence, it was Fetch AI, and we love Fetch, right? I saw Fetch ages ago, you know, it was 2 years ago we're in that. Now, Fetch have just partnered with the world play of Kudos, and apparently it's a community of, you know, all sorts of sort of gaming and computer powering and everything else. You know, developers can get on Kudos and basically design and deploy their applications on a broader scale, allowing innovation to reach the public more quickly than ever, right? Kudos apparently has a global network of 200,000 plus nodes, more than Bitcoin, which has 13,500 nodes or more. This network will allow Fetch AI to scale and perform tasks that otherwise would be considered incredibly complex and no one could do, right, whether you had 10,000 computers or not. The security and privacy data will remain at the core of the Kudos Fetch AI partnership. I mean, this is a big thing for Fetch, and we love Fetch. We love our AI, and we're holding it, right? This is big for those guys. The partnership follows the blockchain version 1.1 upgrade proposal. Fetch, on the other hand, has celebrated the achievement of over 5 million transactions on the mainnet. It's launched a content hub, blogs, articles, videos, but also it's making it very easy for developers to create more and more things in partnership with Kudos. So this is big, okay? Now, also Ripple is in the news at the moment. They're using their ISO 20022 for international payments. It's a regulatory thing, you know, to prove that they are the most compliant of all the coins in terms of cross-border payments. They're also looking at Ripple in terms of real-world utility, which includes non-fundable tokens, central bank digital currencies, and incredible sustainability. Don't forget, Ripple is green coin. It barely costs anything to run Ripple in compared to a non-green coin like Bitcoin that uses proof of work, right? So Ripple are doing lots in terms of central banks all over the world that are very interested in issuing their own central bank digital currency. But also Ripple are now getting big into NFTs, okay? And that's big news for everyone, right? They're also, thinking about setting up an operation in Singapore, putting on about 4 to 10 people over there because of digital currency for central banks. And they already have clients. They're also, the Monetary Authority of Singapore has allowed Ripple to operate there with the banking license, which is big, and also with their ODL liquidity management that they give to corporates and banks for a price, okay? Open market liquidity, on-demand liquidity. So they will set up an operation in Singapore, and they're getting more and more clients in terms of central bank digital currency. And one of them previously was the Kingdom of Bhutan, which is now using Ripple's incredible ledger technology for central bank digital currency in the Kingdom of Bhutan, right? Also, Ripple is on their XRP ledger. They're now able to get physical NFTs on there or digital NFTs, right? And tokenize assets. And that's the beauty of Ripple's technology. They can literally exchange anything in terms of their technology. It's already Web3 compliant. It's already AML compliant. It's already SWIFT compliant. All those sorts of things, right? They're calling it XLS20 hit mainnet. The XRP ledger has witnessed numerous projects standing to gain from the XRP ledger's economic, carbon neutral, immediate settlement, right? They've created a creators fund with a pledge of $250 million. You might remind yourself I mentioned that ages ago. And this is big for Ripple, right? Because Ripple keep doing better and better and better, and they should not be at below ADA in terms of price. Fair dinkum, it's just a joke. We know the big whales have been selling Ripple in the last day or so. Maybe they're getting, just annoyed with how the settlement case is going. It just seems to take forever with the SEC, and that's possibly the thing. Now, Binance also, is talking to the US authorities about, certain things that they did or, weren't supposed to do. And they've just had enough of the US authorities. They're basically saying, look, just give us a break. We're going to pay your bill, whatever you want, the fine, And then, CZ's got to the stage where he's thinking, I don't even know whether I want to be in the US because it's just too hard, right? Don't forget Binance has stopped Paxos from issuing Binance's stablecoin, BSUSD. The market cap has dropped down about 3 billion from about 6 billion to about 13 billion. And a lot of that money is being moved to US Tether or to Bitcoin and other altcoins, right? And again, the landscape, as Changpeng Zhao said, is shifting dramatically because the the SEC are forcing people to take on, positions or investment positions they don't even want to take on, right? I mean, they're completely destroying the stablecoin market, and we're starting to see a lot of stable coins lose their 1-to-1 ratio. And in other words, trading below $1. And that's the risk of holding stable coins. And I've always told my clients to sell stable coins. I never believed in them. And I was absolutely 100% right on that. Okay, so Binance has also set up another coin called True US. And basically is trying to find an alternative to the crackdown on Paxos with Binance USD, right? And again, Paxos is vehemently against what the SEC did. Vehemently. The SEC just hasn't got a clue. Now, Binance and Huobi have freezed 1.4 million in crypto linked to North Korea. Lazarus Group that keeps stealing money. Also, there was an Axie attack, about 5 odd million. And the Norwegian authorities, I think, found and got that money back. Now, Binance, as I said, is engaging with the US Security Commission and the authorities and is basically just saying, okay, we'll pay out the bill. But now they're also, with this, Binance considering pulling back from US partners as crypto crackdown escalates. It is just getting too much. Seriously, and they're just fed up with this. I mean, they're being probed by the Security Exchange Commission, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, the Justice Department, the Internal Revenue Service. I mean, fair income. This just goes on and on and on. I mean, you could be stuck in US courts for the rest of your life, fair income. That's the way it is. And this guy, Changpeng Zhao, is just over it. So it wouldn't surprise me if he just says, look, I'm out of here, right? He admits missteps within compliance and is now talking to the US regulators, and he'll pay the fine, and then he's probably going to say, forget it. I'm not even going to operate in the US anymore. And that's the thing, right? The US consumer doesn't get the benefit what everyone else gets overseas because of the US regulatory position, and it'll be bad for for the US people themselves if they want to try and invest in cryptocurrency per se. And we see the same thing with Ripple. If Ripple doesn't win the court case, they've always said they will move out of the US as the headquarters, and that's fair enough, right? Also, Reuters, a router protocol, announced it has successfully developed a layer 1 blockchain using Cosmos's tender consensus. Now, we love Cosmos. It's a great story, and they're in decentralized apps, built Web3, browsers, all sorts of things. It makes things faster. Again, it can, it's between different, consensus networks and mainnets, and it's decentralized. And Cosmos is extremely cheap at the moment and doing a great job, okay? Also, what else we got here? That's correct. Axie was hacked by the Korean mob, about 5.9 million, but, they got their money back by the Norwegian authorities. Now, also, Polygon is killing it at the moment, killing it. That with their their connection and integration with domains and crypto browser Opera and Web3 identity systems. They are killing it with their Polygon domains. And also the now new client, Square Enix, that uses Polygon network in symbiogenesis and Web3 type experience, right? And it's super. Web3 basically is decentralized web. Advertisers can't get to you. It's, you can integrate wallets and all sorts of things and play games on Web3 and have all different types of apps. It's just incredible. Also, Polygon-based Starbuck Odyssey's NFTs are already selling for thousands of dollars a piece. And that's a great story for Polygon. They're just getting better and better and better. As well as that, Azura version 2 and Azura Score are now live on Polygon with an on-chain betting game. And the betting markets are huge, the gambling markets, okay? So, again, Polygon could easily go to $2. In the last rally, it was about $4. And seriously, it is a cheap story, okay? Very cheap even now. Now, keeping in mind, Coinbase will be coming out with their quarterly figures, their quarter 4 figures, which will be very interesting because we know Kathy Wood has been buying heaps of Coinbase, and that'll be out, I think this week, today, Friday, or maybe next week. So we'll have to see how Coinbase is going. Also gives us an idea of how much the volume they're doing, how many clients they have against the Binance, the meganaut of exchanges, right? Also, Ethereum has problems with its upgrade of its network. There's a bug in there apparently, and it's still costing people a fortune to do stuff through Ethereum, and that's why I dislike Ethereum very much, I have to say. But anyway, look, guys and girls, that's enough of me. I think the market will be strong this weekend. I think it's going to be very telling to see how this market picks itself up, and I do believe it will be high, and I do believe it will take out 25,200 by the end of the weekend. Otherwise, in my mind, it would be a failed rally, but I'm not a believer in that. I think this market is going to go bullish, and it is bullish, and there will be a mega big rally coming up, and it's going to surprise a lot of people because most people are still short. There's no leverage in the market. A lot of people are sitting in stable coins, and there was just too much fear around with capitulation up in December last year. So, this is the place to be, people. Seriously, seriously, it's exciting. It's wonderful. The technology is awesome, and it's bigger than the internet. It's, amazing. Anyway, guys and girls, that's enough of me. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you very soon. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you.